All right, fellas. Ben Whittaker and his team at the moment just cannot seem to stay out of the headlines ahead of the much-anticipated rematch with Liam Cameron, and once again they have managed to make themselves look foolish in front of the entire boxing world. How did they manage to do that? Well, it turns out they have skewed the conditions for the bout completely in Cameron's favor by mistake, and once they realized the error, it already seemed too late to reverse the situation. According to Cameron, there has even been an active attempt at a cover-up to prevent fans from learning about the details, but as is usually the case in boxing, the truth has slipped out, and now the story has to be discussed. To set the scene, last year's clash between Liam Cameron and Ben Whittaker was one of the most controversial fights to take place in the UK boxing circuit. During that fight, Whittaker, who had built a reputation for confidence that often crossed into arrogance, appeared to throw himself and Cameron out of the ropes once the momentum began shifting against him. This bout became one of the most watched and talked about fights to come out of the boxer stable, and as a result, a rematch always felt inevitable. The issue for Whittaker is that his antics inside and outside of the ring have not helped his public image. In that first fight, when he chose to seemingly dive through the ropes and then later claimed an ankle injury, fans were quick to turn on him. Taking a tumble at the first sign of adversity after having spent months mocking opponents was never going to sit well with the public. What made matters worse was the silence that followed. Instead of putting out a clear social media response, explaining the injury and giving Liam Cameron some credit, Whittaker and his team went quiet. To make it worse, stories surfaced about Whittaker putting his fist through a wall after the fight, despite supposedly being unable to walk and smashing a fan's phone who only wanted a photo. These actions only compounded the perception of arrogance and immaturity. That meant the rematch was the only way to repair his image, but the build-up has not exactly gone smoothly either. At the press conference, fans were expecting perhaps a more humbled and respectful version of Whittaker, someone who had learned lessons from the backlash. Instead, he doubled down on his arrogance, showing the same brash persona that turned people off in the first place. Most fans appreciate genuine confidence, but when it tips into arrogance without the substance to back it up, the patience quickly wears thin. Heading into fight week, many expected the same behavior, but Liam Cameron recently revealed something explosive in an interview that turned the situation on its head. According to Cameron, the Whittaker camp accidentally sent him a contract for a 12-round fight, which is exactly what Cameron wanted. Once Whittaker's team realized their mistake, they scrambled to change it to a 10-round bout, but Cameron's camp has refused to budge. Cameron further revealed that he has effectively been gagged in press settings, prevented from bringing up the contract details in interviews, or in some cases, when he did speak about it, the comments never aired. This suggests there has been a deliberate attempt by Whittaker's team and their promotional partners to bury the story and hope the change can be pushed through quietly. The problem with that is obvious. If Whittaker wants to be seen as the next big talent, ducking out of the very challenge he accidentally signed up for sends the wrong message. The perception becomes that he is scared of the championship distance and may not be able to go the full 12 rounds. This is especially damning considering the main issue from the last fight was his stamina. That fight was only scheduled for 10 rounds, and once he began to tire, his instinct seemed to be to jump out of the ring rather than fight through it. Up to this point, his career has been filled with relatively easy fights against journeymen, but when tested with adversity, he folded. Trying to walk back from a 12-round commitment only reinforces that narrative. It also reflects poorly on his promoter, Ben Shalom, and Boxer. A promotional company trying to build its brand in the boxing world cannot afford to give an opponent such an obvious upper hand through a contractual blunder. It may even make other fighters hesitate before signing with them in the future. Some have speculated that perhaps this is all a stunt to generate publicity for the rematch, but that seems unlikely given the way the mainstream British press has avoided covering the issue. Only independent outlets like The Ring have picked up the story, which strongly suggests those involved want the story buried. Still, as the old saying goes, where there is smoke, there is fire, and the fact remains that both parties signed a 12-round contract. The Cameron camp, backed by veteran promoter Frank Warren, has been firm in its stance that the fight will remain at 12 rounds, and unless a significant financial offer changes hands, that is how it will stay. From a tactical perspective, this makes the fight even more intriguing. For Whittaker to win, he must use his hand speed, footwork, and superior reach to control the distance and rack up early points. He needs to be disciplined, avoid unnecessary showboating, and conserve his energy for the later rounds. His jab, his ability to use angles, and his movement are all crucial to staying out of trouble. More than anything, he must demonstrate resilience. If Cameron manages to close the gap and force exchanges, his conditioning will be tested like never before. Cameron, meanwhile, will look to pick up exactly where he left off in the first fight. His best path to victory is to apply relentless pressure, cut off the ring, and invest heavily in body shots to wear Whittaker down. By making the fight rough and physical, Cameron can test Whittaker's cardio and force him into deep waters. The longer the fight goes, the more it favors Cameron, who believes his pressure and toughness will ultimately break Whittaker down. If Whittaker can stick to his game plan, he certainly has the tools to outbox Cameron over the distance. But if his stamina falters or he loses composure, the fight could quickly swing the other way. This rematch has become about more than just skill. It is a battle of character and conditioning. Ultimately, the question is whether Ben Whittaker has matured since their first encounter, or whether he is still the same showboat, unwilling to dig deep when faced with adversity. For fans, the drama surrounding the contract only adds to the intrigue, and Fight Night will reveal whether Whittaker can back up his arrogance or whether Liam Cameron will expose him once again.